Hello, everybody. This is Byron Belitzos. I'm with the Light and Life Communities group, and this is our next interview in a series of interviews. This time we're with Barbara Newsom, who's a distinguished member of our Rancher community going back decades and is a very close friend of all of us. She has agreed graciously to speak to us about Carolyn Kendall's marvelous article, which we asked everybody to read. Because Carolyn is not quite up to it, she's home with her caregiver, and she's given permission for Barbara to speak to us today. And we're going to have three segments. The first segment is our beloved Meredith Tenney asking some opening questions for Barbara. And anyway, welcome Barbara to our circle of inquiry. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
You bet. You bet.
Byron. Good afternoon, everyone. Barbara, I'm so excited to hear your answers to some of these questions. Last night, I sat and reread Carolyn Kendall's article and was struck anew by how prescient it was and astute. She wrote it in 2008, so that was a dozen years ago now. Have you been in contact with her since, and have her perceptions changed?
Oh my. Well, to answer, since then, Carolyn and I are just dear friends. We are colleagues as well in history. So we were already in that kind of relationship in 2008. And we talk to each other all the time and visit up until we've had to be isolated because of the virus. So we just finished a lovely conversation this afternoon after I saw all the questions so that I could tell her about the interview and get her reactions. So yes, and it was a good thing we decided to do that. Are you ready to hear what she says about the article, or do you have another question first?
No, I'd love to hear what her thoughts are on it are now. And also I'd love to hear, Barbara, what your thoughts on it are.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm really glad to have reread it as well. I don't know when I had recently looked at it, and it was really great review of all of this foundation, I would say, for the future. Carolyn and I have always really been enthused about the future and what we can do to help our planet have a wonderful future, because that's what we believe is intended. So this was a great review. And when I asked her, I said, Carolyn, first of all, she wanted to be sure she knew which article. She said, give me the title again, because she's written several pieces. And I told her and reminded her it was in the Herald in 2008. And she said, oh, yes, that was fun. Her first comment was, writing that one was fun. And then so I asked her, well, have you changed any of your thoughts? And she says, well, no, of course not that. But she said, what I will tell you is I like it even more today. She says it's even more important today than it was when she first wrote it.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah, so. Well, and she would add to that. She expanded on that a bit. She says the main reason is that the universe is expanding and will continue to expand. And so we're constantly moving forward.
Do you agree with her perceptions, Barbara?
And absolutely. That's why this is so much fun for me. Literally, Carol and I'm glad she said that. We just have fun. I mean, this to us is just what makes life worth living. And we do keep it real. And I will say that was my final little point that I would put into a written article, taking notes like a journalist. She said, you know, today, though, we need to bring the humanity of it. She said, when you do the interview today, don't just talk about the celestials or our unseen friends. She said, we really like them. We've always really felt close to them, our unseen friends, the celestial beings. But she said, what's so important is to bring the humanity of this project together, so that people can be partners with our celestial friends. And that was what her update is. And I'm planning to be true to that, because this is her article, and I'm really honoring her as a lifelong friend when I do that.
Well, that's a good lead into my second question, Barbara.
Sure.
Things are changing, as we all know. The world is becoming so strange and different than it was a year ago. In particular, I see the Urantia community changing dramatically. We became closer knit with the advent of social media and Facebook, but Zoom, since the pandemic began, has just added a whole expanded range of connection and interaction between the community members. And that makes me wonder, what do you think the Urantia community might do to prepare for a magisterial mission?
Now, here's where I'm switching into something that would really be the way I think about it, but I think Carolyn affirmed that with me in our conversation today. The humanity, really understanding that we are truly partners with God, with deity, with the non-personal and the impersonal aspects of deity, with God, whom we call God as a personal reality, by any name we choose, and by mother, by father, all of that. But that we are partners. We are truly partners in this moment. Every moment we're in partnership, so that the divine will, the divine love that so pours forth incoming to us can be returned. And it is this individual human connection, every person, every woman, every man, every child, every being in human form, that connection is what we need the very most right now, every moment of this day, because of the challenges, because of the tremendous opportunities for progress that these challenging times present.
Well said, Barbara. Thank you. You know,
Now, yeah, go ahead.
well, that connection and that partnership can be so strong that it becomes, to a certain degree, irrelevant whether the mission is here in a visible physical form or not, because we can experience working with them hand in hand and the satisfactions of that either way.
Exactly. And that makes it much easier, I believe, to stay involved in constructive action moment by moment, including time to rest, having the flow of life that would best support our goals and our objectives. Now, what I wanted to add, the thoughts that came to my mind in preparing for this, and certainly Carolyn embodies all of those and showed it to me again today, even at 87 with many advanced conditions, is trust. I believe, in my experience over the decades with the Urantia teachings and the Urantia revelation communities, that what we have, one, is faith in afterlife. We simply know that we're going on and that we're part of this future, not just on our world, but in the whole universe. And not everyone feels it's so friendly. Not everyone feels it's so comfortable. It's what I've discovered. If you ask someone, well, what do you think of the universe? Is it friendly? A surprising number of people are not all that comfortable with the idea, or with angels, for example, just talking about angels. I mean, there is a history on the planet, which is in our legends and even in some of our historic writings of literature and scripture, that we weren't always able to trust our, what I would call our planetary government, our seraphic planetary government. And I think that trust, and that trust in God, that trust in a higher power, that trust in deity. In my case, I work in science, and trusting the energy controllers of our universe to to keep gravity going. These it may sound strange, but one of my best friends who's a scientist really finds a great deal of comfort in the laws of physics, so that we can trust in a world that really has had good reason not to feel trustful at times of others and even of God at times, through various historical experiences and teachings. So now that's one reason this era to me is so special, and why I'm so thrilled to be alive at this moment in human form, is because we can trust. And from trust then comes openness. And from openness then comes the partnership, comes the connection in love.
Beautifully said, Barbara. Thank you so much. I understand you to say that it's less some material step we need to take than it is an attitude of the soul and an attitude of faith and trust. That
Always in the center, always in the heart, in the soul, in the eyes, always there.
well said. Thank you. Byron, I think that completes my questions.
Okay, that sounds really good. And I'm so glad that gravity is still going, because I'm a basketball fan, and I've been working on my three-pointer for a long time. I wanted to keep hitting. But they won't let us in the gym right now, so I don't have to worry about it. Anyway, thank you. This is just an opening module, and we're going to come right back. Anything closing you want to say, Barbara, as we close this unit out? Anything else?
I would just say thank you for the opportunity to share.
Okay. All right. So, folks, we'll be back shortly. Thank you very much. And here we go. Bye now.